State Department regulations also say that departing officials have to make sure that all of their official records are in the files of state upon departure. That couldn't be any clearer.
So if it's a State Department policy to turn in all official documents, how did Secretary Clinton wind up with these 55,000 documents?
I think Secretary Clinton has spoken to this, Lucas. I don't have anything further to add.
I think there's a few questions still out.
Well, you're welcome to pose them to Secretary Clinton and her team.
New questions to the State Department, to the White House, about the forms that Secretary Clinton would have had to have signed, one of them in particular called an F-109, when she was leaving office, and it deals with record-keeping and forms in her possession, including emails. Meanwhile, there's the politics of all of this. Let's look at this new Politico article out tonight. A quote, "This has been surprising 2 weeks for aides in President Obama's orbit as they've watched Hillary Clinton's email mess unfold. The Democratic nomination is all but hers. The Republican field still looking weak to them, and they're counting on her. And now, to sum up the feelings all the way up to the highest levels, what the hell?" A former aide from Politico quoted as saying, "You never feel like you're quite getting the full story because everyone's got some side deal or some complicating factor," said one former Obama aide, reflecting the deal with Clinton and her circle. "I don't think there was a conscious effort to watch out for scams. It was more just, you know, who you're dealing with." Let's bring in our panel. Judge Andrew Napolitano, Fox News senior judicial analyst, A.B. Stoddard, associate editor of The Hill, and syndicated columnist Charles Krauthammer. Okay, Judge, I want to start with this leaving the State Department, a form that any official would have to sign, apparently.
Yes.
We don't know whether Hillary Clinton signed it or not.
All right.
What do we know?
There are two forms that she had to sign. She had to sign one on day one, in which she took an oath to preserve in the government's possession government records. If she signed it and 2 weeks later diverted the government records to her husband's server in Chappaqua, New York, she probably committed perjury. Second one, the one that you've identified that Megan revealed last night, you sign in your last day in office in which you say, "I have returned to the government already." It's in the past tense, the government's records. If she signed that and did so under oath, as the document requires that you swear to it, she probably committed perjury. Because we don't know if she signed this, but we do know no one in the government would be authorized to exempt her from these documents.
Congressman Jason Chaffetz is now planning a formal investigation into the legal implications. You say there are legal implications.
I say there are profound legal implications because you have to swear under oath. The second document, the one you just identified,
F-109,
is the one that is the basis for the prosecution of General Petraeus, who signed the same document the day he left the CIA, and he says, forgot that he had loose leaves in a drawer in his desk in his home, and when the FBI raided his home, they found them there, and that's what he is going to plead guilty to, the possession of documents that belong to the government in his home.
She said, A.B., that she never sent any classified material. That was the quote. She never sent any classified material. Whether she received any, we don't know. And with all of the classification that we see now with the U.S. government, it is
right.
possible.
Actually, I went back to the quote, and it's in the present tense, which is the favorite Clinton verb. She uses the word is, not was. She says, "There is no classified material." That was the sentence. There is no classified material. Is where? In her purse right now, at the podium at the UN during press conference. There is no classified material. We all know everything is overclassified. And of course, everything she says is classified. Everything all the business, the real State Department business she was conducting, much of it was classified. It's all in her personal email server, and it absolutely involved classified material. But she says that as of Tuesday, there is no classified material. So everyone needs to take comfort in that present tense verb.
Obviously, the White House, though, is not. To look at these quotes,
sooner or later, what's going to happen here is this. The State Department was not filled with the coterie of Clinton loyalists. That group is tiny. They've come and they've gone. Someone went to her at some point and said, "You guys don't have any emails on .gov," and they were, probably told to go away. These forms Her system is, I just keep going, do what I want until somebody catches me, and then I say, oh, okay, well, maybe we'll make an adjustment. But you can tell from all of these steps, once she got to state, while she was at state, once she left, and now, that she makes up the rules as she goes along, and then she says that she's in undisputed compliance with them. So we'll find out whether or not there are real legal implications she can be accountable for, but sooner or later, the State Department employees who remain, who work with that team, are going to start leaking stuff and are going to start getting frustrated.
And for the Democrats
if they're
up on
called
the Hill,
into legal question.
Who publicly, the Democrats up on the Hill, who are saying, oh, come on, this is just nothing, it's over, she said she should have had 2 devices, let it go.
It's not over. It's got legs, it's got long legs. It's got legs because the AP has now sued the State Department to get access to her emails, because 3 committees in the House are going to sue to get access or subpoena her emails, because we are now in a position where we're arguing over what is the proper meaning of the word is. I said that a week ago, and I did it as a joke with the Clintons. With the Clintons, you can't make this stuff up. We're actually returning to it depends what the meaning of the word is. And I think what the judge is explaining, what Shannon Coffin, who used to work at the Justice Department, has raised, is a very serious issue. If she did not sign the document, then what she did, the one on separation, then what she did is to leave without turning over government documents, which I believe is a felony. I don't see how you can interpret it either way. If she signed it, it's perjury. If she didn't, then she left with government documents, which is illegal. So now we have the legal issues. I'm sure the Clintons will invent a parsing of the words. It depends what a document means. It depends what is. But I do want to say one thing about what the Obama people are saying in astonishment. I suspect that what the hell is a loose translation of what they actually said.
I assume you're correct. I assume you're correct. Judge, we had some questions about who paid for the server, whether, since it was set up, as she said, by former President Clinton, whether taxpayers paid for it. A Democratic source saying he paid out of pocket and he owns it. But as far as the security, all of that, there are still a lot of questions.
It doesn't make a difference who owns the server unless the government owns it, because her obligation under the law as a government employee is not to conceal from her employer the records, that's the word, not record, not documents, records that she deals with. The definition of records in the statute is about as broad as can be. Even she and her husband couldn't parse themselves out of that definition.
Oh, yes, they'll try.
But
Well, they'll try.
But the line of what is personal and what is government
is to be decided by the government. She flipped the statute on its head. She decided what was governmental and gave it back to the State Department. The statute says the State Department decides what's personal and gives it to the ex-employee.
And there's a new report by the State Department's watchdog, the IG, that found that a vast majority of employee email in the State Department was deleted.
You know what? I don't think people at the State Department were encouraged to have their own servers, but clearly this was the culture. It was systemic apathy. Nobody cared, and nothing was enforced. It was an environment where she could thrive with her secret server. I mean, no one was babysitting any of the employees with these policies.
We have a story about the Secret Service tonight, not to be confused with the Secret Server. Next up, our first look at the Obama administration's takeover of the internet, some say.